Welcome to the Coaching Coordinator Network and our series with the Central Michigan University staff under the leadership of head coach Matt Drinkle. This series looks at alignment, how a strong leader sets the stage and allows other people to do their work. All of these conversations were recorded during Central Michigan's first season under head coach Matt Drinkle. In episode 1, you heard directly from Matt about trust, authenticity, identity, and the kind of environment he wants to build. One where people don't operate off title, they operate off standards. Before we move into the assistant coaches, I want you to hear 2 short reminders from Coach Drinkle, because these ideas are the baseline for everything you're about to hear from the staff. Listen for what he's actually describing here, not slogans, not philosophy, but how alignment gets created when a head coach chooses authenticity over authority and when honesty becomes the standard.
Superpower as a head coach is that I don't care that I'm a head coach. Like, I'll just talk to anybody like it's just whatever. You can get to certain levels where you can use a title or you can use a certain amount of power that you have to gain leverage to get what you want. And I don't know that works as well consistently as if you remain authentic to who you are and how you go about your stuff, whether titles or successes change and go up and down. The kids that we recruit, they've grown up on an algorithm, and they are starved for authenticity and transparency. Like, somebody just tell me real, don't sell me an ad, don't target something towards me, don't have it be when I talk about something, it shows up on my phone 2 minutes later. Like, these guys want just brutal honesty and interaction and truth. And I think that is one thing that we've done a good job here of noticing from a leadership standpoint with this group of people, of a good way to connect with them and get to them.
That's the framework. Now we shift from what the head coach believes to how it shows up in the work. The first conversation is with Wes Fleming, the safeties coach. Coach Fleming has worked with Matt Drinkle at multiple stops and joined this staff with shared history. With that shared history, alignment is expected. Pay attention to how alignment shows up in the way he talks about his work.
All right, Coach Fleming, safeties coach here. We're excited to be sitting down with you, and you're one guy who's been with Coach Drinkle at multiple stops, both sides of the ball. How has that shared history you guys have really shaped your perspective as a coach?
Everything I know in coaching, I learned from him. So he recruited me out of high school and really worked for him on both sides of the ball. And then at Army for a year together, and then obviously being here. So that's the fun part about being here is you're not selling anything to recruits. This is truly what you believe in, and it allows us to be who we are. And you either love it or it's not a fit. So it's been great getting back here, and you're back with all the guys who brought you into it, which is really cool.
In working with him, you certainly have learned a lot about trust and what that looks like. You know, what is true trust between coaches in that day-to-day working relationship?
Yeah, it's just the guys you know have your back, not just in the building, but how you talk to each other or about each other outside the building, and just the true bond you have. Like, everything can't just be work. You got to be able to have good conversations and get to know each other. And I've been blessed to work for great coaches, and Coach Drink's obviously a great one, really close with both our families and everything. So it's cool. We're both raising little girls together, so it's going to be fun. It's a good time here in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, definitely. Having worked on both sides of the ball, you have certainly a unique perspective. And I think one of the things that I heard throughout this building is, the collaboration between both sides of the ball, playing complementary football. But I think that also shows up in, communicating with players too, making sure that those guys know that I'm not just siloed on this side of the ball. Mm-hmm. We work together. I know as a coach, I remember we'd warm up on, 50-yard line, the defense is on that side, the offense is that side, facing each other. I know I made it a point, I didn't go and talk to my guys. I went and go talk to defensive guys. And you can gravitate to that. I mean, how does a setup like this, we see you guys working together, what do we see between you and the players? Even though you're on defense, the guys on offense know you?
Oh, yeah. That's the big thing every day. So our stretch lines, we're all on, just an example that you brought up, we're all on the end line, on the goal line, and we make a point every day, like you go talk to someone that you usually don't talk to every day. So my first stop's always either the O-line or the quarterbacks or just anyone along that side, and you see the defensive guys every day. So you kind of work your way down. And then the same thing in the building, like you being able to, you walk by a guy you might not talk to a bunch, more than a hello or anything like that, talk to him for 20 seconds, and never know how that can change someone's day. So football side of it, obviously, that goes a long way. That was the biggest thing for me in my career, was coaching on both sides of the ball and just understanding the mindset that goes inside, the game planning, the adjustments, all the stuff like that. So it's the best thing that I ever did, and Coach Drinkle's the one that moved me to offense to start.
In looking at just this progression of working with Coach Drinkle, at Kansas Wesleyan with him, at Army with him now, moving here into a different role here, what have you seen as the things that have remained consistent when it was that small college in Kansas to leading right now?
Well, the things that are consistent are for sure the importance of family and the importance of life outside of this building, of being able to be really efficient in here, get your work done, do it really, really high quality work, but understanding that you can burn yourself out if you don't step away. That's been consistent. And then the bonds of, we had essentially a whole new staff, myself, Coach Drinkle. I'd worked with Coach Cronin before, but a lot of us hadn't worked together. So he did a good job of bringing us all in, of creating bonds and understanding we can make more than just coworkers out of this and become really good friends. And that's where that trust part comes in, I think, as well. You got guys that trust each other. You want to do a little bit more for them. So that has been the same. Obviously, we have a couple more people working here than we did at Kansas Wesleyan, and it's been really cool to see the growth of each other. Obviously, we worked together and then spent a couple years apart, and then got back together at Army, and just to see the growth. And I obviously have grown a ton, just learning so much every day. I've learned a ton at Army, all those places, and seeing us kind of progress into where we are now has been really cool.
So you did step away and had those opportunities to see him at different places in different stages of his career. What's the growth you've seen in him as a leader now that you see showing up every day?
I think it's always that step you take of, he had those years becoming a head coach, and then he steps back into a different role, and then he can kind of observe as a position coach, Coach Monken, who's a fantastic coach, observe things that he can learn from him and take that and kind of build onto, you never change who you are, but you can add different tools into your toolbox as a coach. And seeing him progress into that, he's a great dude, and he's always the man, but being able to see him grow in different leadership qualities, kind of how we can disperse certain things, how we kind of make pockets of different things as far as departments, and being able to get that thing funneling like a machine. Going from a head coach and taking that step back allowed him to reframe his brain of, okay, we did this on a small scale. What's the next step to be able to do it at a level like this?
I told him when I first met him, after I interviewed him for the first time, we were friends on Facebook, and what he was doing, I said, there's one thing, you guys probably had the most fun I've ever seen everybody, at least from watching, what you posted then. Anybody, seeing, I remember, he was speaking at AFCA in San Antonio, and the whole Kansas Wesleyan staff buzzing along on scooters, right? That was the fun that we saw out of him that year. Has that translated to a move to a bigger level with more pressures, et cetera?
No, we still have we are, I would say we're a little more matured now, but still have our fun. And that's what the best part about working with these guys is being able to, when you get to step away from here, you still get to be yourself. You get to be yourself in the building. You don't have to change who you are, so you get to have those fun interactions during the day. And obviously when we get out of this building, be able to, once we grow up, we get married, we have kids now. I think life slows down a little bit, but there's still that fun side in there of being able to work with him and doing all that fun stuff.
Yeah, he said the nights aren't as late.
Earlier nights, all that stuff.
Right. With the way you guys have had success in year one, you've grown together as a staff. What has you most excited about being a part of the staff and the work you guys can do and what you can do in the next year and year two?
Oh yeah, just all the growth we can make from this, the mistakes we've made this year. as a staff, learning curve in the conference, anything like in this league, you got to show up and play every week. You got to play really good football, and there's stuff, recruiting wise, practice wise, stuff that we can all adjust and get better at. So I'm really excited to see how we build from here. Don't get me wrong, this first year's been fantastic. It's been the most fun I've had coaching in my entire life, but you always get to, we play this bowl game and then it starts over. So we get to, tighten down the hatches a little bit, fix what we need to, and hit this thing running for next year.
With that shared history, alignment is expected. Alignment gets tested when someone new walks into the building. The next conversation is with Christian Dukes, the corners and nickels coach. Dukes joined the staff without prior working history with Matt Drinkle. All right, sitting down with corners and nickels coach Christian Dukes, and coach, new staff for everybody here in this first year. We were just talking about how you got here, but when you looked at this opportunity, what made it feel like this is the right fit for me?
Honestly, from playing in conference, you know what I mean? I've always had a great amount of respect for Central Michigan. It was always close battles. Obviously, the rich tradition of great football in the state. So once the opportunity presented itself, it was a no-brainer situation for me.
Coach Cronin talks about the pack.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The pack. So in looking at just the overall culture you guys are building here, but also then, that idea, those standards that you guys are putting together, how do you coach those to your guys?
First and foremost, it all starts with great effort. You know what I mean? If guys are hustling to the football, straining to the football, being violent once they get to the football, nothing else matters. So first and foremost, it all starts with effort. The next thing is just playing with great leverage, whether it's up front, whether it's at the second level with the linebackers or in the back end. It starts with great leverage as well. So again, those are the two biggest things that we emphasize, is playing with great effort and also playing with great leverage.
A lot of teams, being on the offensive side of the ball myself, if we were going to leave a guy unblocked, it'd be a corner, right? We'll let that guy make the tackle.
Yes, sir.
But physicality is a part of this program.
Yes, sir.
That's a standard that coach wants. So how are you making sure that your guys who are great athletes understand that we're going to be physical and stick our nose in there too?
It's a mentality. You know what I mean? It's a mentality. I think obviously there's a stigma that back-end guys aren't gritty, aren't physical, and that's one of the biggest things that I hang my hat on. In order to play here at Central Michigan University on this defense, you have to be violent, you have to be physical, and again, it's a day-by-day thing in regards to mentality. You have to actually just rep it. You know what I mean? Guys have to get reps of being physical and being violent to put it on tape.
You've developed a lot of players, whether it's been walk-ons, guys who are star athletes. How does your approach to whoever they are coming to you remain consistent in the way that you're going to treat those players?
The biggest thing for me is just meeting the players where they are, understanding, okay, these are the strengths of this young man, these are the weaknesses, and how can we meet in the middle in a partnership to figure out what's the best way to take you from point A to point B. And I think the moment that these guys or these young men know that you genuinely care about them and that you have a strategic plan to get them better, I think the buy-in value is sky high. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been able to do thus far.
I think one of the challenges every college football coach has right now is with your younger players, to keep them engaged and growing, to get them to see that it's worth being a part of this.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what we're building here. How do you do that?
Buy-in. You know what I mean? You have to meet those guys where they are. Again, I just think having real, genuine conversations with those guys, you have to let them know where they are. How can they improve and where they stand amongst the rest of the guys in the room? So I think just from being a former student athlete, you usually like when guys are very, very honest, bluntly honest and genuine. I think that's how you keep a great team and build a great locker room as well.
When you just look at building the overall culture beyond your room, what are the things you look at doing that? Here's how I can help everybody get this buy-in to what Coach Drinkle wants to build and what we believe in.
Yes, sir. It starts with connectivity. You have to have a genuine relationship with these young men. A lot of these guys, they're growing up in a different era now. Everything is so accessible to them. And they can see from a mile away if a guy's being genuine or if a guy's just selling them short. So the biggest thing is just making sure that you are honest and genuine and also helping pull guys along. I think that's the biggest way to do it.
Coach Cronin, talks about everybody getting to work together in that
Yes, sir.
pack, right? How do you keep
that continuity? How do you keep that communication so that things don't break down? I mean, you guys are the last line of defense.
Yes, sir.
Communication for you guys is mission critical.
Yes,
Not that
sir.
it's not on other ones, but I think with you guys, if there's a mistake, it's a touchdown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The biggest thing you have to tell them is that over communicate. If one guy's wrong and we all are wrong, we're all on the same page. You can't get out there and be church mites. In other words, you have to consistently communicate, tap your head, give a thumbs up, thumbs down, just to make sure everybody's on the same accord. Because as you know, right, if the D-line misses a tackle, the linebackers are there. If the linebacker misses a tackle, the secondary's there. But if the secondary blows any type of coverage or misses a tackle, strike up the band. So again, you have to be extremely detailed with communication and over the top, just making sure that everybody's on the same accord in regards to communication.
If you were to talk to a coaching buddy about this staff end of year one, what would you say? What would you communicate about how this staff does things and maybe how it's different than anywhere you've been before?
Family oriented, in college or athletics in general, I think that word is kind of thrown out or misused, but I genuinely feel that this is a family. Coach Drinkle does a wonderful job with just making sure that we are always included in any activity. You'll see my wife, other coaches' spouses, children running around at practice, coming in and out of meetings, and that's the biggest thing that I've taken away thus far is that it's genuinely a family. Everybody cares about each other. We all spend time with each other. Our spouses get along, and I think it just shows with our players, you know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing that I would say with anybody that I speak to is genuinely a family here.
As you guys finish up this year, head into 2026, what do you feel is something that you want to own as your way to make sure you help this culture move forward and that you're doing your part to improve yourself so that
Yes,
we improve as a whole?
Yes, sir. I would say, for me, I want to just continue to become more vocal. Obviously, as a younger coach, that's not really my world. I think my role right now is to just sit back and learn as much as I possibly can, but moving on to next season and just becoming more vocal. I think I got a good relationship or a good rapport with a lot of the players on the team. And I think those guys feed off my energy and passion. So I think that's the next step that I continue to help to get the program going.
What stood out to me listening back wasn't whether the language was identical, it was how often trust and authenticity showed up in the same places, and how work gets done, how players are treated, and how standards are reinforced without needing supervision. Alignment doesn't come from everyone saying the same thing, though it was very similar. It comes from people doing the right thing for the same reasons. In episode 3, we'll continue with that idea of alignment, but shift the lens again. We'll look at how standards hold when pressure increases and when responsibility spreads across the staff. If alignment is real, it doesn't disappear when the voices change. Episode 3 continues that test. This series is presented by the Coaching Coordinator Network. For coaches looking to go deeper into leadership alignment and real conversations from inside the profession, explore Coaching Coordinator Network at coachandcoordinator.com and be sure to look for our SMART clinics, which will be released soon.